game with his blue-white control deck versus Mono Blue Devotion, piloted by Chaz Hinkle, who has just landed an Aetherling.
And this is game 2, and I do see that Chaz has 2 Aetherlings in his sideboard, so he may have brought those in. And yeah, based on the sleeve, I was just checking to make sure there wasn't some kind of Night Veil Spectre flipping your Aetherling interaction earlier. But that is Chaz's black sleeve as opposed to Max's green sleeve.
Yes. He appears to have 1 Aetherling main deck, 2 Aetherling in the board. Max is going to go ahead and take this opportunity to resolve a Sphinx's Revelation, but it does not resolve, and dissolve will allow Chaz to counter the Revelation and scry. And that was a main phase Revelation from Max.
Just looking for an answer for this Aetherling. There are not very many answers to Aetherling.
No, there aren't. So that was exactly what Max was trying to do, was find an answer. In the meantime, Chaz is going to draw some more cards off of Jace, Architect of Thought. He finds Ratchet Bomb of Island. Chaz says, I'll take the Ratchet Bomb.
Now, Max Tietze does have 3 copies of Pithing Needle in his sideboard, which in conjunction with some other removal spell can take care of Aetherling.
It can at least make it into a more manageable 4/5 that can't blink out. As you mentioned, more removal will actually deal with it. But Aetherling gets in, and a Ratchet Bomb added to the board for Chaz. Max takes a huge hit from that Aetherling, and he's in some trouble. He's on a 2-turn clock.
Some preemptive defense against the possibility of Pithing Needle or anything else.
Max attacks with Mutavault, knocking Chaz from 28 to 26.
That's, I mean, I guess you get your damage in where you can.
Right. Aetherling coming across for another 8, gonna knock Max down to 4, and Max has a very small window to find an answer.
No answer.
Looks like he's found. I think he's got a Detention Sphere. That's not really much of an answer. Oh, it's a Jace, Architect of Thought. Okay, that will help him find an answer. Potentially. And he finds a way to fog the Aetherling for a turn, and that's what he's going to take in Azorius Charm. He bottoms the Detention Sphere and land, and now is he going to attack with the Mutavault? I think he is. Attack you with Mutavault. Knock you to 24.
If 20 turns later Max Tietze wins this game, maybe he will have that Mutavault to thank.
All right, Aetherling in for 4, Azorius Charm. Blink it out, says Chaz, and he's going to play a Frostburn Weird. He's tired of getting hit by that Mutavault. Not only that, but that represents another threat, and a second Frostburn Weird.
Just going to load up.
Yeah, ends his turn. Aetherling comes back. Max draws for the turn, and he is going to draw some more cards off of Jace, Architect of Thought. He finds Celestial Flare, Azorius Charm, Sphinx's Revelation.
More fogs.
Yeah, now it's like, how do you split this? Chaz is like, here, you can take the 2 fogs or the Revelation, but wait, no, let me think. Maybe
Sphinx's Revelation, effectively a fog plus drawing lots of cards.
Yeah, that's a tough split because
I've never cast a fog that good.
I think this seems like the correct split. Revelation and Celestial Flare, since Celestial Flare is the one that is slightly weaker because it's not targeted. But now Max potentially, or I would think he's likely to Supreme Verdict here.
He's had that in his hand for quite some time.
Right, he's going to be able to actually get 2 spells with it, or he can Detention Sphere actually and take care of those Frostburn Weirds.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here.
He's going to Divination actually.
Oh.
So more answers. Finds a Supreme Verdict and a land, I think.
More information.
And there's that Supreme Verdict. It's going to blink out the Aetherling, of course. And the Frostburn Weirds go away.
I like using the Supreme Verdict better here because A, it's uncounterable, and Mono Blue may have some counter spells. You need to survive this turn first.
Right.
But saving the Detention Sphere also for the Ratchet Bomb, if Max Tietze has brought in Pithing Needles, that's really one of his only permanent answers to Aetherling, so you want something that can interact with the Ratchet Bomb.
Totally agree. Very good point.
We
So Chaz has Aetherling, Ratchet Bomb on 1, and it looks like 8 islands.
Of course, at this point, he's dead to any kind of counterspell anyway on the Celestial Flare.
Yeah, Celestial Flare.
Did Chaz just play that Judge's Familiar post-combat?
He did. So Celestial Flare makes it so Chaz has to blink out the Aetherling, and Max Tietze survives to fight another turn.
Well, here we go. Incremental advantage.
And I think he's just found an Elspeth. That's not what he's going to cast here. It looks like he's going to cast Sphinx's Revelation for 6.
Now I don't know, that there may have been a land slightly off screen, but it looked like Max Tietze was tapped out last turn, and Chaz Hinkle could have resolved that Judge's Familiar pre-combat and countered that Celestial Flare and been walking into game number 3.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. When you mentioned it, Max had already untapped, but that's quite possible.
You get so used to casting things post-combat, right? Because that's
right.
quote-unquote what you're supposed to do. But a card like Judge's Familiar has a defensive ability. You sacrifice it to counter target instant or sorcery, or unless they pay 1. I don't know if Max had the ability to pay 1 right there on that turn.
So Max actually gets the 6 cards and 6 life off of the Revelation, is now moving to discard. He discards a Detention Sphere. Chaz ticks up his Ratchet Bomb and draws his own Pithing Needle for the turn. So
discarding Detention Sphere, surprising.
Yeah,
I mean, it is a removal spell. It doesn't deal with Aetherling.
It looks like it was a redundant copy. He's got 1 in hand.
Well, I want every.
We want all every possible answer as possible.
When it comes to spheres, I am greedy. Okay, Chaz now going to attack with the Judge's Familiar and the Aetherling.
And Max with... so
he puts in a little... a bob and weave. He activates Mutavault, and
right.
Chaz makes his Aetherling unblockable.
Yeah, so no answer to Aetherling this turn, and he's going to take a sizable hit.
Pow! Right in the kisser. Max Tietze goes down to 1 life. Chaz Hinkle now. Looks like he was thinking about that needle.
Yeah, he was. But he passes back to Max. Max untaps, draws for the turn, finds a Plains, and I don't know that he's got an answer at this point. I think he's really going to have to... needs to find more cards.
Is he going to Supreme Verdict? No, Jace.
Finds a Jace. Does Jace resolve? It does. What do we got? Celestial Flare, Island, Detention Sphere. So we're going to go ahead and split the Flare out by itself. Max takes it.
Another Fog.
Yeah.
All of these effects, Azorius Charm, Celestial Flare.
The problem is he's got Judge's Familiar right now, so he can sacrifice a Judge's Familiar if it lives throughout the turn.
Could I need the Detention Sphere or Judge's
he
Familiar?
Could. He's going to have to. He's got to deal with the Familiar so that the Flare actually has an effect.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's going with Supreme Verdict.
But the Ratchet Bomb on 2, Chaz can pump it up to 3 and then destroy the Detention Sphere on his turn.
Exactly. So Supreme Verdict.
Going to do that instead.
And it's going to force Chaz to blink out the Aetherling. And Verdict resolves. Judge's Familiar goes away.
Did he sacrifice it for the effect?
I don't know.
Counter your Supreme Verdict? Doesn't work.
Didn't look like it.
And Max
on the
2 more
offense.
points. This is the 3rd time now he's attacked with a Mutavault when he's had an opportunity. I don't know, though. He's seen those Judges Familiar last time. Chaz missed playing it pre-combat. Max Tietze now only has 2 mana available for that Celestial Flare to fog the Aetherling. That may be costing Chaz Hinkle again. Joey, he has drawn another Judge's Familiar. And he's shaking his head. He knows he missed it this time. Maybe he knew he missed it last time. both these guys, Max Tietze taking chances maybe he shouldn't be taking by attacking with Mutavault, tapping down low. Chaz Hinkle forgetting to play Judge's Familiar pre-combat.
And a Jace finds a dissolve for Max. That's not going to be enough.
It's not going to be enough, but he's drawn so many cards. He had a Sphinx's Revelation earlier, but no, nothing. Wow.
Yeah, so Chaz Hinkle evens things up at a game apiece here in round 15.
Max Tietze goes back to his sideboard for game number 3. He probably did not expect Aetherling now bringing in those Pithing Needles, because he went through so many cards. You have to believe that he didn't bring them in game number 2, not knowing about that.
Yeah, that's quite possible. Pithing Needle, one of the best answers to an Aetherling, or at least to just kind of make it into a vanilla 4-5. So we did actually have an update from some other matches. We have Brad Nelson wins his match. Jerry Thompson, of course, won his match on camera. Huey Jensen with a draw, and Brian Bronwyn with a loss, his third of the tournament. So
that's
all
unfortunate
these
for BBD.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that Huey was able to draw, and this is what we were mentioning earlier. Such a long tournament, 16 rounds of Swiss for 328 players. It's not going to be possible for you to ID continuously with people because they are going to have different records from you. So these players at 11-3, these guys are matched up at the same record, but the higher up guys, BBD and Huey, have already played each other. They played each other in Legacy. I don't know if they played each other in Standard or not, but they're not going to get paired up necessarily with the same record because there's such a disparity.
Now it sounds like it's likely that they all draw their final round, or not likely, but it's likely safe for them to all draw. I don't know if that's what they end up doing. We don't know the exact numbers, but that's the word I'm getting, is that they're generally safe to draw at this point. But we'll see, and what a top 8 it will be if these players at the top tables all end up making it into the top 8. We've got Jerry Thompson, Brian Bronwyn, we've got Huey Jensen, Brad Nelson. This is quite a top 8.
Yeah, and we don't know who else of the people we've been following have won this round. We did see Ben Friedman lose to Jerry Thompson earlier under the camera, and here one of these guys, Chaz Hinkle, Mono Blue Devotion, Max Tietze, Blue White Control, if they can win this match, they will move on.
Yeah, so I think you're right about Max not having those needles. 3 copies in the sideboard, and we didn't see a single one.
And when he lost, he immediately went to his sideboard and pulled out some number of cards and brought them in.
Yeah, Aetherling, I don't think it's too much of a surprise out of a mono blue deck, but clearly I don't think Max was prepared for it.
Wasn't expecting it, or possibly was surprised by how difficult it was to handle. Maybe he thought he could just ignore an Aetherling or counter it at some point.
Yeah, one card that we saw out of an Esper deck Joe Lassette was playing was the Debtor's Pulpit, which was a popular answer to Aetherling back at the Pro Tour when it was the Block Pro Tour in Dragon's Maze, and that's something that Max Tietze does not have available. In fact, most players aren't playing Debtor's Pulpit. Joe is the only one I've seen this weekend playing Debtor's Pulpit, but that's another answer to Aetherling that someone could potentially play if that's the way.
Debtor's Pulpit is a fantastic sideboard card, not only against Aetherling, but also something like Blood Baron of Vizkopa that a white-based deck or a white-black deck might have trouble with, because it gives the ability to the land, which itself is colorless.
Right, it's a lot like Underworld Connections in that way, where, people say, well, you can Pithing Needle Underworld Connections, but you can't name Underworld Connections. You have to name whatever land they put it on.
You're allowed to name it.
Right.
To no effect.
Right, exactly. If you want to stop the Underworld Connections, you can't name Underworld Connections. And in that same way, or similar way, Debtor's Pulpit is a white card, but it's not the card that is tapping.
It's not the source of the effect.
Exactly.
It's not the source of the ability. Interesting that Todd Anderson previously has said when his opponent names Underworld Connections with Pithing Needle, he actually corrects them and says you should name the land that it is on, like Swamp. That's a very honorable move by Todd.
It's very good sportsmanship. So we're underway with just 16 minutes left in the round. These guys are playing at a very fast pace, and the first play of the game is a Frostburn Weird, which immediately is dealt with by Max Tietze.
That's Last Breath.
Yeah.
It's an old version of Last Breath, I believe.
Divination from Max Tietze and Night Veil Spectre from Chaz Hinkle. These guys playing super fast now.
Very fast here. I blinked and I missed 2 whole turns.
Yeah. Both players with 3 lands. There's the 4th land from Max. Does he land a Jace here? Does he just pass the turn? Find a way to deal with that Night Veil Spectre.
Yeah, especially because he's playing blue cards. I would not really want to give my opponent an opportunity to connect with Night Veil Spectre. Maybe we'll see a Celestial Flare. Yeah.
And that's exactly what we see. Celestial Flare will take out the Night Veil Spectre. Frostburn Weird appears to be the follow-up from Chaz. And a Ratchet Bomb to make use of that other 2 mana available for Chaz. Pass back to Max. Max is going to...
Another Last Breath? Or no, I think that's what he was thinking, but didn't have another white source.
Yeah, you're right.
So started to put it out, realized he only had a Mutavault and an island to tap for mana.
So he's going to go ahead and now he's going to Last Breath the Frostburn Weird.
So this explains why Chaz Hinkle's life total is so high in the game 2 that we joined.
Yeah, all the Last Breaths make it so that the opponent gains quite a bit of life. So Ratchet Bomb ticks up to 1. Max goes ahead and passes the turn, and a Master of Waves.
Master of Wave.
Yeah, Master of a Wave. He's just saying hello.
Okay, so Max Tietze. We saw again Max attacking with that Mutavault every chance he can get. And now a lot of blue sources, not many white sources. Aetherling.
Naked Aetherling from Max Tietze, unprotected.
Challenging Chaz to do something, anything to it with your mono blue deck. Probably not going to happen.
Yeah, Chaz has another Master in hand, but that's not too much in the face of an Aetherling when all you've got is just 1 other Master. So you're going to get 2 more waves. This Master's using both hands. Now it's waves. Yeah, it's using both hands, waving. Kind of the Miss America thing.
Joey Pasco is waving his hands next to me.
I was impersonating
to no effect.
Master of Waves. That's
like naming Underworld Connections. Your waves did not have an effect. Well, Aetherling's going to have a huge effect on this game. It's most likely going to end this game in Max's favor unless Chaz... I mean, he now has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 power on the field. So Max also has to think about the possibility of just resetting with a Supreme Verdict.
There you see Master of Waves, one of the breakout cards of Pro Tour Theros. A 2/1 for 4 protection from red. Pumps elementals and brings along some elementals with it.
So Max here is going for a main phase Sphinx's Revelation for 4, leaving his Aetherling back on blocking duty. So this forces Chaz to not block with his Masters because he doesn't want to lose one and lose that power pump on his waves for future attacks, I would think.
And a Thassa is the play from Chaz.
Building up his devotion the slow way, now up to 3 blue mana symbols, 3 blue pips.
Yes. And he's going to make one of his waves unblockable and swing in for 3. Going to knock Max to 21.
Yeah, so Max went for the Sphinx's Revelation, seeming to indicate that he did not have the Supreme Verdict, wanted to dig for the Supreme Verdict there by drawing 4 cards and leaving his Aetherling on blocking duty. It still doesn't look like he's found it. He's found a Jace, perhaps? A Jace would cut down the clock.
Yes, it is a Jace.
Significantly.
So Jace is going to go ahead and -2, finds 3 lands.
Yeah, he's just digging for a supreme verdict here
Yeah, it
to
seems
reset
that way.
these masters. And then he'll be free to attack with the Aetherling and finish things off in several swings.
Yeah, but he seems to not be able to find that verdict. Verdict's such a good card against these Master of Waves that just bring along so many guys. And Max certainly kept all 4 in.
And good against blue decks if Chaz has any incidental counter spells left in his deck.
Yeah, unable to really counter it at all. So if he finds one, it's going to resolve.
But in the meantime, Chaz can activate Thassa several times now. Let's see, he can make 3 mana. So that's just 3 for 3 with Nykthos.
No advantage to activating Nykthos.
So it can only activate twice.
So he's actually just going to go ahead and cast Nightveil Spectre off of the Nykthos. And then he's going to make one of his waves unblockable, attacking Jace.
Yeah.
And then the other, he's going to actually swing in with 2 other waves, the other 2 waves, and Thassa.
Yeah, the Nightveil Spectre increasing the devotion for Thassa. Now Max Tietze, I think he did have another copy of Celestial Flare. He may have an Azorius Charm. Yeah, he's got an Azorius Charm here.
Azorius Charm's going to be.
He can choose to save his Jace or save himself some damage by putting Thassa on top of the library.
He could also pump the Aetherling.
Yeah, he could block Thassa.
To block. Yeah, so he can pump Aetherling, block,
and save Jace.
Or
yeah, that's good.
He blinks out the Aetherling, and he saves Jace with the Azorius Charm. So, nice little way to recover from Max Tietze, but still looking for that Supreme Verdict. I wonder if Jace goes away this turn. He finds a Celestial Flare, I believe, on top.
Yeah.
So Jace going
to... Yeah, he's going to dig.
Yeah,
all he needs is a Supreme Verdict to lock this game
and
up.
He has not yet found it. It is Dissolve and 2 lands, and Max is going to take the Dissolve, put the 2 lands on the bottom. He's got plenty of lands at the moment. Can't seem to find that Supreme Verdict. He does have another copy of Sphinx's Revelation, I believe. He's doing some math.
I really wonder if that was the correct attack for Chaz. I feel like taking out Jace, you wanted to commit some more resources to it because we have seen Max have both Azorius Charm and Celestial Flare.
Right.
He only had He only had enough colored mana to cast one of them, so I feel like committing more attackers to Jace just to make sure, because it should seem clear to Chaz that Max Tietze does not have Supreme Verdict. So cutting off his ability to dig in whatever fashion maybe takes precedent over attacking his life total at the moment.
So Max looks like he's casting a 5-card Sphinx's Revelation, leaving up 1 Hallowed Fountain, planning on probably playing a white source.
Well, if he hasn't played a land yet, maybe he's hoping to draw a land. He's hedging for drawing another Azorius Charm or Celestial Flare.
It looks like their first card in the off the Revelation is Supreme Verdict. So
yeah, now he's gonna take a look, prioritize his hand, and see what he's gonna keep and what he's gonna discard. Chaz Hinkle doesn't know it yet, but that Supreme Verdict is gonna wipe out his board. He is gonna get an opportunity to attack here with Thassa again, with Nightveil Spectre, can get something off the top of Max's library.
Yeah, this is still pretty scary.
Scry.
There's a lot of creatures on the other side, so. And there's a lot of, how much devotion is it? 5, 6, I'm sorry, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he can add 6, 7, 8. He can make 4 guys unblockable. 1, 2, 3. I mean, he can make all but 1 wave unblockable. The Nightveil Spectre already has flying, so that's.
Hashtag is SCGINVI.
I mean,
it's not going to be enough damage.
Enough, right.
But he does indicate all these guys are unblockable. And they count up the damage. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 15.
16, looks like. You can count. Are the Masters, I'm sorry, the waves are 3 power, right?
Yeah, and the Masters 2.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah. 3, 6, 7, 8, that was what it was.
Gets a plains off of the Nightveil Spectre. not super relevant, but could be in the future. He plays it. If he gets future Night Veil Specters to hit, maybe cast a white spell.
So Aetherling's going to attack here, and Chaz says, all right, I'm at 26, whatever, take it. I'm at 22. Aetherling blinks out, and Chaz knows Supreme Verdict is coming.
Thassa all alone now, hopelessly devoted to nobody.
All her pips abandoned her.
Just a single pip. And Chaz, meanwhile, has been pumping up that Ratchet Bomb very innocuously, up to 6.
Right.
It's another fog effect for Aetherling.
It is a fog effect, yeah, that's essentially what it is.
And maybe it'll be enough. I mean, he got Max Tietze down to 6 life off of that last attack, making all those things unblockable.
Night Veil Spectre is the play from Chaz, 1 away from having a devoted Thassa, or from being devoted to Thassa. He can
activate Nykthos for 4.
Right, so he can gain a mana there, but apparently not worth it. He just passes the turn. Max is going to cast Last Breath, putting Chaz back up to 26 and dealing with that Night Veil Spectre. And he finds a Sphinx's Revelation. That may do it. It's going to take a few turns, but I think that may be enough. Okay, so Aetherling's going to attack.
When you're an aggressive deck and you have had your opponent down in the single digits and they Sphinx's Revelation on essentially an empty board for yourself, back up to double-digit life total, it hurts. It stings a little.
So Divination is the play here from Max. He's going to keep looking for answers. He does have a Detention Sphere there at the front, which he may choose to use on that Thassa. It looks like that might be what he's
just
going
deny
for
the
right here.
extra scry and deny the possibility of it going big all of a sudden. Really one of the only ways you can lose at this point.
You have 50 minutes.
Detention Sphere resolves, target Thassa.
Another way he could lose is if he taps too low and cannot protect his Aetherling from the Ratchet Bomb.
So he's gonna. Looks like he's actually.
He's already attacked.
He has. I mean, it's
blinking.
Looks like he was blinking it. I don't know if he's. Yeah, he changes his mind. So Aetherling remains tapped. Does not blink out.
Yeah, Max seems like he's got this game locked up, but he has to be very careful. We saw in game number 2 that he very carelessly tapped down too low, where the Judge's Familiar that you see could have countered some of his removal spells. So Max should not attack needlessly with those mutables and tap down too low. If he needs to counter something here, he has to make sure he leaves a blue up for the Aetherling. He does.
But dissolve.
Did he?
So dissolve is there.
Okay, so that was, we saw Max Tietze cast dissolve. Chaz said sacrifice Judge's Familiar, and Max kind of
looked like he was thinking about
tapped his last land
yeah.
and maybe just caught himself just in time and said, whoa.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't take his hand off that land, I don't think.
Wow.
He just kind of like tapped it and untapped it. Wait a second. But yeah, you were saying it. So Last Breath available to deal with the Night Veil Spectre instead of the dissolve, which was countered by the Judge's Familiar. But Elspeth is going to join the fray here alongside the Aetherling with 3.5 minutes left. Max Tietze is really presenting a formidable force to fight Chaz Hinkle and his mono blue devotion deck. Chaz down to 0 non-land permanents, despite with the exception of a Ratchet Bomb, which is on 6, which would be nice to take out Aetherling, but
takes out Elspeth too, incidentally.
That's true. He could take out Elspeth.
So yeah, Max correctly activating Elspeth before combat, just in case.
Yeah, I wonder if Chaz should have maybe just gone ahead and taken the opportunity to deal with Elspeth, since he's probably not going to get the Aetherling.
In the upkeep.
Oh, apparently the clock was incorrect, and it's actually just above
just a little
1
bit
minute.
Of time, yeah.
But it still looks like it could be enough time for Max to win with extra turns.
An interesting point, Joey. Maybe if Chaz had activated Ratchet Bomb on Max's upkeep to deny the 3 more soldiers, like given the time constraints, could he have fought things to a draw at that point? Or is Aetherling just too quick of a clock?
Yeah, I mean, that's 3 more guys that Max is going to have to attack with. And now he's going to go ahead and use that Ratchet Bomb. All right, Max says, all right, I'll save my Aetherling and lose my Elspeth. Chaz with 1 card in hand and no non-land permanents. Max swings in with all the soldiers. He did, I believe, have to blink out that Aetherling in response to the Ratchet Bomb before the trigger, so he didn't have access to the Aetherling as we saw in an earlier match. But Max is still able to take him down 2 games to 0.